Ladies and gentlemen, I just found a research piece that says that the current bull run that's experiencing right now in US could last for 5 to 12 years. Let's take a look at this very interesting research. And if it comes to pass, it could mean very, very serious profits for a lot of people. Let's watch on, shall we? These are my usual disclaimers. I'm not telling you to buy or sell this for finance, education, and entertainment. And we are not responsible for any losses that you may face. And trust me, you can lose a lot of money if you react wrongly. First and foremost, the NASDAQ 100 just broke record again. And the NASDAQ has been on this spectacular rise for this year as well as the S&P 500, and it broke record again last night. The S&P 500 is not far away from the all-time high, just about 10 over points away from all-time high of 6099. I suspect that maybe today or even next week, we're going to break an all-time high again. And that would end the year soon in an incredible, spectacular rise of 30 over percent. Tom Lee, my favorite analyst, is super, super bullish. In his latest interview, he actually gave a mid-year target of 7,000 points. And surprisingly, he says that the year could end at 6,600 points, which is less than 10% of where we are right now. Why is it so? It's because in the first half, there'll be a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm in the White House. Deregulation, there's $7 million cash sitting on the sideline in the cash market, waiting to pour into equities. But in the second half, the world will be getting more and more complicated, and there'll be geopolitical risks, tariffs, and so on that could slow down the economy. So it is a prediction of a spectacular rise with some adjustment down. I need to also caution everybody, while I am very impressed with Tom Lee's prediction, and I follow him quite closely, I do not take his word for a gospel truth, okay? And neither should you take mine as gospel truth. It is important for us to take data points all over and see what we should do for ourselves, because individually, each of our investment profile is different. We should not think that, we should just blindly follow what people say or do. But let's not forget, Tom Lee has also predicted that the S&P 500 could hit 15,000 points by 2030. That's about 6 years from now. That would be a spectacular rise if that would happen, because that represents a 175% rise from June. Now, I think it's about less than that really, in terms of reaching there in percentage. So S&P 500 remain bullish in the mid to long run. And the markets right now are insanely bullish, right? Even the bears right now, right? The bears right now are apologizing for making bearish comment. And we could see that the VIX, which is a fear and greed index, is actually very, very low right now. A lot of money is flowing into equity ETFs. Sentiments are showing just insanely bullish to the point of madness right now. And when this happens, the market is going to rise even more because everybody believes that you rise more. Stock market is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that it will rise, okay? This is where I came across this research piece, which is very interesting. It says that if the stock market bull run lasts for 2 years, okay, it is very likely that it will last for another 5 to 12 years. Now, I say again, okay? So by looking back in the last 50 years, the research piece found that, 5 other bull runs that lasted for 2 years, if they can last 2 years, most likely they'll continue to last for 5 to 12 years, okay? And it's like think of it like a cruise ship. Once it get moving, it's very hard to keep it to stop. It's like an aircraft carrier, right? Once it goes, it just go on and on and on. Not only could there be a lot of time left, there could be a lot more impressive gains. So let's take a look at some of these gains. Current bull run has already lasted for 2.1 years. Other bull runs that had crossed 2.1 years, they continue to have bull runs. In the case of the 87 one before the bubble burst, it lasted for 5 years. In the case of the 2007 great financial crisis, okay, before that, it lasted for 5 years as well. And the 1981, it lasted for 6.2 years. And the spectacular 2020 lasted for 11 years. And of course, the 2001 lasted for 12.3 years, right? So all these bull runs, once they cross 2 years, they lasted for at least 5 to 12 years, right? Now, does it mean that ours will surely last for 5 to 12 years? Hard to say, okay? But the statistics are in our favor that it can last long. I find this research piece very encouraging, okay? So if this were to happen, I think, it will be a very good news for all of us. So what does it mean if we have a 5 to 12 years bull run? Let's take the bottom number, like 5 years, right? And bull run, usually the return rates are very high, right? But let's take a 15% return rate a year. Compound annual growth rate of 15%. This year, the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 is likely to return about 30%, which is this year return rate. But let's not think that 30% will last forever. Let's assume that instead of 30%, next year will be 15, and the following year will be 15, and go on for 5 years, right? But a lot of people say, Mr. Lu, how is it fair? The average S&P 500 is only 8 to 12%. Yes, the S&P 500 over the last 100 years or so is about 8 to 12%, but that's made up of a couple of big bull runs and a couple of bear runs, on average 8 to 12%. But if you just look at the bulls itself, it could easily be 15 to 20 or 30% like what we're seeing this year. So let's assume that the following 5 years will go at 15% a year. Let's just assume, right? I'm not saying is it fair or not fair, but let's assume it's 15%, which is half of what we experienced this year. So assume that NASDAQ will be at 15% as well for easy calculation. NASDAQ, usually the bull run is higher, but let's assume it's also at 15%. If it compounds at 15%, the both index will double at the 5th year. So if you have $100,000 now, you'll be 200,000. If you have got $1 million inside now, you'll be, $2 million by the 5th year, which is spectacular return. But what if it continue for another 12 years instead of 5 years, right? If you continue for another 12 years, the S&P 500 at the same rate of 15% will be 5 times. And the NASDAQ 100 will be 5 times as well. So if you have got 100,000, it'll be $500,000. If you've got $1 million, it'll be 5 million, right? That was going to make a lot of people very, very rich, right? And if I'm wrong about this 15% and it becomes 20%, actually, that's a good question now. What if it becomes 20%? I also don't know. I'm going to calculate right now, okay? If it becomes 20%, it's 2.5 times instead of 2 times, okay? But what if it's 20% for 12 years, okay? For 12 years, it will be 9 times. Okay? You are 1 million, become 9 million. Spectacular return if this bull run could last for so long. But don't forget, this is just looking at the research piece that someone did. I didn't say this will happen. Before someone say, Mr. Lu, you 1 minute you say market could crash, 1 minute you say market could bull run. But these are possibilities could happen, right? And it'll be between 5 to 12 years historically. We're now in 2 years have passed, we're now in the 3rd year. But everything could explode in a spectacular bubble burst. Let me say categorically, it could be tomorrow, it could be a month later, it could be a year later, it could be 5 years later, it could be 12 years later. I don't know, and I think nobody knows. Not Warren Buffett, not Charlie Munger, but Charlie Munger has passed away. No, not Howard Marks, and not anyone else. There's a lot of people who tell me specific dates, that specific months, and say that you will crash by this day, this day, this day. I say you good, okay? I doubt your prediction, but I say you good. But let's just take an S&P 500 since its inception, shall we? Somewhere around here, 1901 something, 1902 something, it went all the way up. There's a lot of up, down, down, but it went up and up and up and up and up. This is what we call a compounding graph. Just take a look at this spectacular compounding graph, right? This is called the power of compounding, okay? Power of compounding just works this way. I've said it since the first day I ran 1M65, and I told everybody that I form a financial safety net after I layer S&P 500 and then layer NASDAQ and things like that. This is the returns that now I'm seeing. And for those people who follow me since 2015, congratulations to you, because you'll be sitting on some spectacular return, right? Then the NASDAQ follows the same pattern as well, with a lot more fluctuation, okay? And these kind of returns are insane, right? So if you have hold something at the year 19, what does this look like? Let's say year 2000, okay? Year 2000. And then there will be at the market high as well, around 5,000 points. If you held it until now, it's gone up by 4 times, okay, 4 times, even though a terrible return for 10 over years. But you hold until now, you return 4 times. So the stock market is something that compounds powerfully over a long period of time, but you got to pick the right index, right instrument, and be very patient and can stomach through the insane volatility that happen in between. Not many people have the holding power. Not many people can withstand that kind of volatility, but those people who do usually make spectacular returns. In short, let me reiterate again, I'm cautiously optimistic. I do think the bull run will continue to go. I don't know when it will explode, but I've rebalanced enough so that I can handle the crashes. But I've also invested heavily enough to capture the upside. So in that sense, I got best of the both worlds, right? So for you guys, you decide what you want to do. For me, I think this is the approach I would take, okay? And I've had the stomach and the emotions to withstand quite deep dive in stock market. I don't know about you, so I cannot advise you what you should do. And a lot of people has written to me that they have made money. This is the latest one. Someone written to me about some other things, but the person actually made $100,000. And he credited me for his advice. I didn't collect a single cent from him or her. I'm happy for him or her for making this kind of spectacular return. There are many more. So far, the highest I've seen is $200,000-$300,000 profit. Right? They thank me for. I hope when the market crash, they have the power to withstand that kind of crash. But so far, the profits they're seeing is in hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm very happy for you. There'll be a lot more people who say, but Mr. Lu, I missed this entire bull run, right? Well, learn from this episode because there will be another episode where when there's another crash, you pick up yourself and go for the kill, right? If you're up to it. Congratulations to all who make money. I suspect that you'll continue to make more money, but the risks are getting increasingly higher. So you're going to manage the risk and manage the exuberance of the upside. Congratulations to all that make spectacular returns. So thank you for watching. At this juncture, I would like to warn everybody that there is a fake 1965 TikTok page. He copy my photo, copy all my videos out. Surprisingly, he has got 10,000 over followers, which is quite amazing. That's more than I do in TikTok. Maybe I've not been dutiful enough. He called himself at Lu Cheng Chuans with a S, okay? That's a fake TikTok page and it's a scammer. And there are 10,000 people following this scammer right now. It is not me. He'll ask you to invest in crypto and all this, to hell with him, okay? All of y'all should not follow him. Unfollow him, okay? My one will be at Lu Cheng Chuan, okay? At Lu Cheng Chuan without the S. This shows that scammers are all out there and it's actually quite frightening. Okay, so thanks for watching and I'll see you in a day or two. Bye-bye.